The impossible challenge, the jungle of Varric 9, was not a place for the weak. It was wild, loud, and full of deadly creatures. Every warrior on this alien planet feared one thing more than war: the Bloodmaw beast. That beast was a nightmare. Big as a hover truck, teeth like metal spikes, eyes that could see heat, smell that could find fear. For centuries it had killed every hunter who dared to chase it. Today someone new was stepping forward, not a warrior, not an alien, a human. His name was Cade Morin, tall, quiet, and strangely calm. He stood in front of a crowd of heavily armed, alien warriors all staring at him like he had lost his mind. Cade wore no armor, no helmet, not even a knife, just a dirty brown jacket and gloves. One of the aliens, a proud female warrior named Zalira, stepped out. She was 8 feet tall, muscular, and glowing with green tribal paint. Her voice was sharp and loud. "You can't be serious, human," she growled. "No one goes after the Bloodmaw empty-handed. It will crush your bones before you take a second breath." Cade simply looked at her. His eyes didn't show fear. "I don't need weapons." The crowd laughed. Warriors pointed. Even the tribe elders chuckled among themselves. No one believed he would last even 5 minutes in the jungle. But Zalira didn't laugh. She hated humans. Always calm, always mysterious. And now this one was walking into her jungle acting like some kind of legend. She stepped closer to him and lowered her voice. "Are you doing this to impress us? Or are you just looking to die?" Cade smiled a little. "Neither. I just want to meet the beast." Then, without a goodbye or any armor, Cade turned his back to the crowd and walked straight into the jungle. The trees swallowed him whole. Silence followed. The crowd waited and waited. An hour passed. Then 2. Still no sign of the human. Zalira stood at the edge of the jungle, arms crossed, jaw tight. Something didn't feel right. Normally by now the jungle would echo with screams or the ground would shake with the Bloodmaw's roar. But this time, nothing. She narrowed her eyes. "This is strange." An old warrior beside her spoke. "He's already dead. The beast probably swallowed him in one bite." But Zalira wasn't so sure. Something about Cade's calm face was stuck in her mind. The way he looked at her, not with pride but peace. Like he had already seen worse than the jungle. Against her own judgment, she picked up her spear and stepped into the shadows of the jungle to follow him. Meanwhile, deep inside the jungle, Cade was moving silently. He crouched low, his hands brushing over glowing moss and crushed leaves. His eyes spotted fresh tracks, large clawed footprints that crushed the roots beneath them. Bloodmaw tracks, fresh. But instead of running, Cade smiled. He pulled out a small pouch of sticky fruit from his backpack. It smelled awful, but it wasn't. Bait. It was an insult. The Bloodmaw hated this fruit. He smeared it on a rock and left a trail, not to attract the beast, but to make it angry, to challenge it. Then, he climbed a tree, waited, watched. Zalira followed his trail from a distance, leaping over vines and ducking under thorny branches. Her people were skilled hunters, but even she struggled to track Cade. His footsteps were quiet. His scent was hidden. He moved like the jungle itself. That both scared her and impressed her. Then suddenly, a net pulled her off the ground. She yelped in anger as vines wrapped around her legs. She had stepped into a trap, Cade's trap. From the trees above, Cade peeked down. "Oh," he said calmly, "didn't expect company." Zalira growled. "You trapped me, fool." "I was aiming for something bigger," he replied, lowering her gently with a rope. Once she was on the ground, she stared at him. "You're not a soldier. You're a shadow." "No," he said, brushing dirt from his hands. "I'm human." Then they both froze. A heavy thud. Another. The trees shook. The air grew hot. The Bloodmaw was close. Zalira backed away slowly. "You'll die, Cade." Cade's eyes focused toward the shaking leaves. "Maybe, or maybe I'll surprise you." She looked at him one last time before whispering, "You're insane." And Cade smiled again. Maybe. Then he ran towards you, the sound, toward the beast. The Hunt Begins night came quickly on Varric 9. The twin moons rose behind black clouds, and the jungle glowed with blue and red lights from strange plants and crawling creatures. But the real danger was not the glowing bugs or whispering winds. It was the thing that moved like thunder on 4 legs. It was the Bloodmaw beast, and somewhere, between trees so tall they touched the sky, a human was hunting it, with bare hands. Cade Morin moved like smoke between roots and stones. His breathing was calm. His body was covered in mud and plant ash to hide his scent. Every step was silent, every sound around him, measured. He wasn't just chasing the beast. He was studying it. He had been dropped into alien war zones before. Fought monsters with claws, wings, acid blood. But this time he wasn't here to kill. He was here to understand. That's why he watched the claw marks on the tree bark, the broken bones of a smaller predator, and the strange lines scratched into the dirt. This thing marks its territory. It's smart, Cade whispered to himself. Not just a killer. A thinker. He looked up into the dark canopy. It's hunting me too. Back at the alien camp, the crowd waited under firelight. Warriors whispered bets. 10 credits the human never returns. 20 he comes back in pieces. Elder Hunt Master Goric, old and blind in one eye, leaned on his staff. This Cade, he's different. He didn't walk like a fool. He walked like someone who knows fear, and walks anyway. Zalira hadn't returned either. That worried him more. Deeper in the jungle, Cade found a fresh trail of blood. Not beast blood, alien blood. Drops. A smear. Then a broken piece of armor. His fingers tightened. Zalira. He followed it. Fast. Careful. Quiet. Soon he found her. Zalira was lying near the roots of a twisted tree. Her leg was bleeding. Her spear snapped. Her breath fast and shallow. Above them, something growled. The Bloodmaw. It was close. Cade heard it circling, smelling, waiting. Zalira looked up at him with wide eyes. It's watching us. Cade didn't speak. He grabbed a handful of moss, pressed it into her wound, then dragged her gently behind a fallen log. She grabbed his arm. Leave me. You'll die. He shook his head. Not today. Then he stood, turned away, and walked into the darkness. Toward the beast. The jungle was silent again. Cade's heartbeat was the only sound. Then, a growl. He spun, and there it was. The Bloodmaw, taller than a tank. Skin like dark steel. 4 glowing red eyes. Its mouth opened wide, lined with teeth shaped like saws. It didn't roar. It stared. Like it wanted to learn everything about him before killing him. Cade raised his hands. No weapons, he said, quietly. Just me. The beast charged. Back behind the log, Zalira watched in horror as Cade disappeared into a cloud of dirt and leaves. She wanted to scream, but her throat locked. No alien she had ever known would face a Bloodmaw without at least a plasma blade, but Cade had walked toward death. Like he was shaking hands with it. The fight was not seen, only heard. The sounds were like war, branches snapping, ground shaking, beast roaring, man grunting. Then, silence. Total silence. Zalira dragged herself up with her one good leg, gripping the side of the log. Cade? She whispered. No answer. Then from the trees a shadow moved. She raised her broken spear. But it wasn't the beast, it was him. Bloody, covered in dirt, limbs shaking, but alive. And behind him, something moved. The Bloodmaw. But it was not attacking. It was following him, calmly, obediently. Zalira's heart stopped. He didn't kill it, she whispered. He tamed it. Predator or prey, the jungle of Varric 9 had gone quiet. Too quiet. Not even the chirps of the night flyers or the rustling of hunting snakes could be heard. Something had changed. Something had entered the food chain that didn't belong, and everything knew it. The Bloodmaw beast, the jungle's apex predator, was no longer hunting. It was following a human. Cade Moran walked slowly. His steps were shaky, but his eyes were sharp. Behind him, the massive beast lumbered forward. Each of its 4 clawed feet sank into the jungle floor with a heavy crunch, but it did not attack. It watched him. It studied him, and somehow, it respected him. From a hidden tree perch above, Zalira clutched her broken spear and stared down in disbelief. She whispered, "It should have eaten him, not followed him." She'd seen warriors blast the Bloodmaw with plasma rifles. She'd seen tanks try to cage it. All had failed, and yet, this human with no armor and no weapons had done the impossible, not by force, but by understanding. Hours earlier, Cade had sat still as a statue, hidden in the mud, letting the beast sniff him. He hadn't flinched when it roared in his face. He hadn't run when it snapped its jaws inches from his skin. He had simply waited, showed no fear, no threat. The jungle respected power, but it also respected control, and Cade had mastered both. Now Cade returned to Zalira. She winced as he approached. It didn't kill you." He knelt beside her, pulled a small med kit from his backpack and wrapped her leg in synth tape. "It didn't want to." Zalira stared at him. "No creature spares the weak." "I wasn't weak," he said calmly. "I was honest." She shook her head. "You talk like a philosopher, not a soldier." "I've been both," Cade replied. "But here, being human means something different." He looked back at the Bloodmaw, now lying in the grass like a tamed beast. Its eyes glowed softly and its breathing was slow. "I didn't challenge it," he said. "I respected it." Zalira frowned. "It should have torn you apart." Cade smirked. "I didn't give it a reason to." Suddenly, a loud voice echoed through the jungle. "Drop your weapons and raise your hands." Alien warriors appeared, 10 of them, shining bright lights and charging plasma rifles. They had tracked Cade's position after hours of silence from both him and Zalira. Their leader pointed. "Where is the beast?" Cade simply stepped aside. The Bloodmaw rose slowly behind him, towering over everyone. The warriors froze, terrified. A few dropped their rifles. "It's with me," Cade said. The alien leader stammered. "With you? That thing killed 12 of our best hunters." Zalira pushed herself up, leaning on Cade's shoulder. Her voice was tired but strong. "He didn't kill it. He made it obey." The warriors stared, unsure what to believe. Some whispered, others trembled. "No one in our history has ever returned from a Bloodmaw hunt," one said. "And this human did it without a single weapon." Cade turned to Zalira. "I need to take it back." She blinked. "You want to bring the beast to the tribe? You'll cause panic." He nodded. "Let them panic. Then let them see it for what it really is." Zalira hesitated, then slowly nodded. "They'll never forget this." Cade helped her walk. The beast followed silently. As they neared the edge of the jungle, the campfires flickered in the distance. Aliens gathered once again, expecting to see nothing but death. But this time, they saw a man, a wounded alien warrior, and the unchallenged king of the jungle walking behind them like a loyal shadow. The crowd gasped. No one spoke. Even the elder dropped his staff in shock, and one young alien shouted, "No way! Did you just catch the toughest creature to hunt with your bare hands?" Bloodmaw's lair. The jungle had a pulse. Every root, leaf, and vine seemed to breathe as Cade Moran walked deeper into its heart. Not as prey, not as a hunter, but as something new. Behind him padded the Bloodmaw beast, calm yet alert, silent yet terrifying. Even Zalira, warrior of 100 hunts, limped behind with wide eyes. Her broken spear now felt like a twig in the presence of this silent agreement between human and monster. But Cade wasn't finished. He wanted to find the source where the Bloodmaw was born, its lair, and prove the final truth to the alien world. Humans don't dominate with power. They dominate with purpose. The alien soldiers had returned, to the camp, still dazed and whispering of what they'd seen. But Cade had refused rest. Instead, he built a sled from broken vines and dragged Zalira deeper into the jungle with him. "You're insane," she groaned, trying to stay conscious. "I'm not done," Cade replied, voice low. "Why? You've already done the impossible." Cade looked at the Bloodmaw. "Not yet. I didn't defeat it. I earned its respect, but I need to understand it." Zalira frowned. "Why does that matter?" Cade paused. "Because if I can survive where it sleeps, maybe no one else has to die from this creature ever again." The deeper they went, the darker the jungle became. Trees grew twisted, roots like claws. There were no birds, no sounds, just silence. Then, suddenly, bones. Everywhere, piled high. Some fresh, some ancient. Crushed helmets. Alien bones, half-eaten machines. The Bloodmaw's lair. Even the air felt different. Thick, heavy, almost sacred. The beast stopped walking, so did Cade. He turned to Zalira. "This is it." Zalira struggled to sit up, wincing. "So, what now?" Cade didn't answer. Instead, he walked right into the bone field and sat in the middle, legs crossed, hands on his knees, eyes closed. Zalira's voice rose in disbelief. "You're meditating? In the middle of a death zone?" "Yes." Time passed. Minutes. Then, something moved. A second Bloodmaw stepped out from the shadows. Smaller, faster, younger, but no less deadly. It circled Cade, sniffing the air. Zalira reached for her broken spear. "We're going to die." But Cade didn't flinch. He opened his eyes and then smiled. The second beast stopped. Then, it sat, just like him. Zalira's jaw dropped. "What are you?" "Still earning trust," Cade said softly. "This is a family. I entered their world. I respected their space, and now—" He pointed behind the second Bloodmaw. More shapes appeared, a third, a fourth. Smaller ones, cubs, Bloodmaw cubs. Zalira blinked in shock. "These things breed in here, and no one's ever seen it before." Cade stood slowly. "Because no one's ever tried to understand them, only kill them." The original Bloodmaw stepped beside him. The others didn't attack. They accepted him. He turned to Zalira. "Now you see why I had to come. This isn't a monster nest. It's a home." But peace didn't last. Suddenly, explosions in the distance. Fire lit the sky. Drones screamed above. Cade's eyes narrowed. No. No, no, no. Back at the alien camp, leaders had panicked. The story of the humans' tamed beast had spread too fast. Some feared he'd lost control. Others believed he was using it as a weapon, so they'd sent bombers to wipe the jungle clean. Cade ran. So did the Bloodmaw. He helped Zalira up and yelled, "They're going to kill them all." Missiles flew overhead. The jungle burned. Cade sprinted into the firestorm, waving his arms. The bombers locked onto his heat signature. He screamed into the sky, "Stop! They have cubs! You'll start a war!" The Bloodmaw roared beside him, not in rage, but in warning. Then, the impossible happened again. The jungle itself moved. Vines rose, trees bent, a pack of Bloodmaws stormed out of the smoke, but none attacked. They circled Cade protectively, their cubs in the center. A moment later, the bombing stopped. A voice crackled through the sky. "Stand down. We see the beasts are not attacking." Another voice, female, whispered, "Is that the human? Leading them?" Zalira limped forward beside Cade, armor scorched, eyes shining with awe. "You didn't just find the lair," she said. Cade looked around, at fire, at ash, at calm monsters beside him. "You found their trust," she finished, and Cade nodded. Man versus monster. The jungle was on fire. Flames danced across the trees like angry spirits. Smoke twisted into the sky, blocking out the stars. The air was thick, full of fear, ash, and tension. Soldiers on the outskirts aimed their weapons. drones, hovered, ready to strike again. And yet, in the middle of it all stood a single human. No armor, no gun, surrounded by monsters, and they were protecting him. Cade Morin stood tall, his clothes singed, skin scraped, eyes locked onto the skies. Around him, 5 Bloodmaw beasts formed a loose circle, massive bodies shielding their cubs and crouching low like trained wolves. They didn't growl. They didn't charge. They just waited, waiting for his command. Or maybe, trusting his silence. From behind a fallen log, Zalira slowly pulled herself upright. Her leg was weak, but her spirit was burning like the fire around her. What she had seen in the last 24 hours would be written in songs. If she lived long enough to sing them, she limped toward Cade. "If you don't speak now, they'll wipe this whole jungle." Cade nodded but didn't look at her. His eyes were fixed on the soldiers at the edge of the clearing. "They think I'm their enemy." Zalira swallowed. "So prove you're not." A loudspeaker buzzed above as a drone lowered from the smoky sky. "Human soldier. Step away from the beasts. You are in violation of planetary security law." Cade raised his hands. "I am not controlling them," he said, loud and clear. "I earned their respect." The drone paused. Another voice crackled in, female, cold, and high-ranking. "And you expect us to believe that? That the Bloodmaw, the apex predator of this system, just listens to you?" Cade didn't flinch. "Don't believe it. See it." He turned, and then he did something no one could understand. He walked straight toward the biggest Bloodmaw. The alien soldiers gasped. Zalira hissed, "What are you doing?" But Cade didn't stop. The Bloodmaw growled, a deep, thunderous sound that made the ground shake. Cade kept walking, closer, closer, until he was within reach. And then he slapped the side of its face. Not hard, not angry, just enough to say, "I'm not afraid of you, I trust you." The beast huffed, lowered its head and gently nuzzled his chest. The soldiers watching froze. Some dropped their guns. One even whispered, "That thing." It bowed to him. The drone voice returned, this time quieter. "What are you?" Cade stepped back, placed a hand on the beast's massive shoulder, and answered plainly, "Human, that's all." Suddenly, a scream. From the trees, a rogue Bloodmaw burst into the firelight, its eyes wild, injured, burning. A direct hit from a drone had melted part of its back. It wasn't It wasn't part of Cade's pack. It was angry, dying, dangerous, and it was charging straight at the cubs. The calm vanished. The jungle exploded in panic. Cade sprinted. Zalira screamed, "No, you can't stop it." But he didn't hesitate. He threw himself between the cubs and the rogue beast. No time for tricks. No time to think. Just instincts. Man versus monster. The rogue Bloodmaw roared and swung its claw. It tore into Cade's side, sending him flying into a tree. Blood sprayed. Bones cracked. He hit the ground hard. Didn't move. Zalira screamed his name. But just as the rogue beast reared up to strike again, the original Bloodmaw, the Alpha, charged. It collided with the rogue in a clash of muscle and fury. Roars filled the jungle. The ground trembled as the two titans fought tooth to tooth, claw to claw. Blood, dirt, fire, and then silence. The Alpha stood victorious. The rogue lay still. Dead. The Bloodmaw turned back to Cade, walked slowly, sniffed his broken body, and then licked his face gently, like a mother waking her child. Cade groaned. Eyes fluttered open. Zalira ran, to him kneeling. "You idiot, you actually fought a Bloodmaw with your body?" Cade gave a weak smile. "Did I win?" "You survived." "Good enough." The soldiers began to lower their weapons. The drones pulled back. The jungle seemed to exhale, and Zalira said in a voice both proud and shaken, "You didn't tame the jungle. You became part of it." Return of the impossible. The gates of the alien warrior camp had never been closed this tightly. Armed guards stood shoulder to shoulder. Defense drones floated in silent formation above the perimeter. The jungle beyond crackled with dying fire. The warriors had seen many things in battle, but they had never seen a man walk out of fire, followed by monsters. And yet, that's exactly what was happening. From the smoky shadows, a human silhouette appeared, limping, shirt torn, blood drying on his face. Behind him, like ghostly giants rising from a dream, came 5 Bloodmaw beasts, walking calmly, their eyes alert but peaceful. And in Cade Morin's arms was Zalira, unconscious but alive. Gasps rippled through the camp. Weapons were raised again, but no one fired. One young alien whispered, "No way. He's alive?" An elder stepped forward, eyes wide. That beast behind him. It's the Alpha, the one that ate Commander Thrak 2 cycles ago. A second voice trembling with disbelief. Then why isn't it eating him? Cade stopped just before the camp gates. He looked up at the guards and said in a low voice, "I'm not here to fight." The Bloodmaws stopped beside him, silent, patient, like they understood every word. One brave warrior finally stepped forward. "What are they doing here?" Cade looked him dead in the eyes. "They followed me back." Inside the medical tent, Zalira's wounds were being treated. She was stable but still unconscious. The tribe's healers had never seen a human risk so much for one of their own, especially not for someone like Zalira, who once mocked him in front of all. But Cade didn't wait by her side. Instead, he stood in the center of the camp, surrounded by warriors, leaders, skeptics, and fear. The Bloodmaws lay quietly in the shadows nearby. Cade raised his voice. "You call them monsters. You call them threats. But I call them protectors." Murmurs rose. He continued, "They kill because we attack them. They rage because we destroy their homes. No one tried to understand them. No one but me." General Torvik, an old alien with scars down both arms, scoffed. "So now what? Do we give the beasts medals? Invite them to dinner?" Cade didn't flinch. "No, but we stop the war before it spreads. You bomb their nests again, they will retaliate. And this time they won't. Stop at the trees." Torvik laughed. "You think we'll listen to you? A human who got lucky?" Cade narrowed his eyes. "Was it luck? When I walked out of their den alive?" The crowd fell silent. "Was it luck? When I put my body between a rogue beast and its cubs?" Still silent. "Was it luck? When the Alpha bowed before me?" Torvik tried to speak but couldn't because every warrior had seen it, with their own eyes. Just then a small growl echoed through the camp. Everyone tensed, but it wasn't a threat. It was a cub. One of the Bloodmaw younglings wandered closer to Cade, then rubbed its head against his leg like a kitten. The warriors gasped. Even Torvik took a step back. Cade bent down and scratched the cub's ear. Then he said, "You can keep fighting nature, or you can finally live with it. Your choice." At that moment, the medical tent flap opened. Zalira stood there, bandaged, weak, leaning on a cane, but very much alive. She looked at the crowd, then at Cade. Her voice was clear. "If any of you still doubt him, you are the fools." She walked to Cade, stood beside him, and looked at the beasts. "Tell me this, warriors. When has anyone survived the Bloodmaw's den? When has anyone come out leading an entire pack?" No one answered. Zalira nodded slowly. "Then listen to him, or prepare to lose more than your pride." The elder finally raised his staff. "The old ways said the jungle is a curse, but maybe the curse was in us, not it." He pointed at Cade. "Let this human speak in the Council of Tribes. Let him show us the new path." Cade didn't smile. He didn't gloat. He simply turned and looked at the Bloodmaws, silent, calm, watching. And in that moment, everyone understood. He hadn't tamed the monsters. He'd earned his place among them. Legend of the Beast Whisperer, they called him mad when he entered the jungle alone. They called him lucky when he returned alive. But now, they were calling him something else. Beast Whisperer. It had been 3 days since Cade Morin brought the Bloodmaw pack to the gates of the alien warrior camp. 3 days since the unthinkable happened. The apex predators bowed their heads to a human, and in those 3 days, everything changed. No more bombings, no more hunting parties. Instead, Cade stood inside the Council of Tribes, surrounded by alien war leaders, generals, and high-blood warriors who once mocked his kind. Now, they leaned forward when he spoke. He stood at the center of a great stone circle, wearing simple clothes, still bandaged from the fight. Salira stood beside him, no longer a skeptic, but now his shield. Cade raised a hand and the crowd fell silent. "I didn't come here to control your beasts," he said softly. "I came here to understand them." Torvek, the old general, still skeptical, crossed his arms. "And what did you understand, human?" Cade looked him straight in the eyes. "That monsters are only monsters. When you treat them like monsters." Outside the council hall, the Bloodmaws rested in the shade. The cubs rolled in the dirt like puppies. Warriors took turns watching them, some still nervous, others fascinated. Children peeked from behind, tense to watch the creatures, wide-eyed and curious. One even whispered, "Can I ride one?" The elders chuckled. "No," Cade had said with a smile. "Not yet." Later that night, the sky over Varric 9 turned silver blue as the twin moons rose high. A great feast was held, not in celebration of a kill, but of a survival. For the first time in tribal history, a Bloodmaw had not been slain, but had become a partner. Cade didn't sit at the high table. He sat on the ground, near the fire, roasting jungle roots and feeding scraps to one of the cubs curled beside him. Salira joined him, sitting quietly, her leg still stiff, her voice more thoughtful now. "You know," she said, "your people were always seen as soft, too emotional, for battle." Cade chuckled. "I've been called worse. But now, even our youngest sing about you. They say you looked death in the eye and smiled." He looked at her. "I didn't smile, I just didn't blink." Just then, a sound echoed from the jungle. A roar, deep, long, familiar. The Bloodmaws stood at attention. Cade stood, his heart pounding, not with fear but with certainty. He walked alone to the jungle's edge. Everyone watched. Out of the darkness came a new beast, bigger than all the others, scars down its neck, teeth cracked from years of battle. The elder Bloodmaw, the true first. It walked past the guards, past the firelight, and stopped a few feet in front of Cade. The two stared at each other. No one breathed. And then, the beast knelt, slowly, gently. A symbol older than any alien war code. Submission, respect, recognition. Cade stepped forward and placed a hand on its head. "It's okay," he whispered. "You're safe now." The warriors erupted into shocked applause. Salira smiled. "You've done it. You're not just a legend now. You're a bridge between worlds." That night, under the moons, warriors laid down their weapons. Children laughed near the Bloodmaw cubs. Leaders wrote new laws, ones that banned hunting and instead formed a new class of beastkeepers, with Cade as their first whisperer. Even Torvek, grumbling and stiff, nodded in respect as he passed Cade. "You survived where gods would fall. I won't argue with that." As dawn came, Cade stood once more at the jungle's edge. Salira asked, "You're leaving?" He nodded. "For now. The jungle still has secrets." She tilted her head. "So, what will they call you next?" Cade smirked. "Hopefully not dinner." She laughed, but her voice turned serious. "You gave us more than peace. You reminded us what it means to listen." Cade looked at the Bloodmaw cub beside him, now his constant companion. Then he turned back toward the trees. The jungle opened for him, as if it knew him, as if it welcomed him. And as he vanished into the green once again, Salira whispered the new name the stars would carry, the human who made monsters' bow.